We'll begin our look at the western central region of the African continent by visiting Central Africa. This portion of the region is made up of the nations of Cameroon, the Central African Republic, South Sudan, Africa's newest nation, created by a very destructive recent civil war in which 2 million people died. Then comes Equatorial Guinea and the two-island nation of São Tomé and Príncipe, followed by Gabon, the Republic of Congo, and finally, the Democratic Republic of Congo, the site of another recent, very bloody war that ended up killing over 5 million people. Because the Democratic Republic of Congo is the largest nation in the region and is the second largest African country in terms of land area, we will be focusing on it in our close-up look at Central Africa. The Democratic Republic of Congo is home to 75 million people, and most of them are followers of the Christian faith. This former colony, once known as the Belgian Congo, is populated by over 200 different, mostly Bantu-speaking tribal ethnic groups. The citizens of the Democratic Republic of Congo are among the poorest people in the world due to warfare, government corruption, and widespread disease. And yet, its vast lands are estimated to hold $24 trillion worth of valuable minerals, such as copper, diamonds, gold, and cobalt. And the nation possesses a great wealth in timber as well. So for those reasons, the Democratic Republic of Congo is often considered to be the richest country in the world in terms of natural resources. The nation also has an excellent supply of fresh water. Its heavy annual rains help to create the mighty Congo River, which is the third largest river on Earth, based on the amount of water it carries. The Congo flows thousands of miles across the country before emptying into the Atlantic Ocean. It is fed by many streams that flow down from the mountains and huge lakes of the Western Rift Valley, where the African continent is slowly splitting apart. The enormous heat and pressure created by the tectonic activities in the Rift Valley area has created some high peaks, including Mount Nyiragongo, which is still very active. Most of the vast Congo River Basin, which covers 390,000 square miles of territory, is occupied by the Congo Rainforest, a massive expanse of lush jungle. The Congo Rainforest is the second largest rainforest in the world after the Amazon, and it possesses incredible biodiversity, meaning that an extremely wide range of animal and plant species live here. They include chimpanzees, rare giraffe-like okapes, white rhinos, mountain gorillas, and forest elephants. Unfortunately, poverty, corruption, and warfare have endangered the Congo rainforest. Monkeys, chimps, and gorillas are being killed for their meat. In fact, the Democratic Republic of Congo is the center of quite a big trade in bushmeat, the meat of wild animals. Most people depend on trees for nearly all of their cooking fuel. That's why it's so common in this region of Africa to see people with bicycles struggling to haul big bags of firewood and charcoal back to their homes. Naturally, with millions of people cutting down trees to use for cooking fuel, it's not surprising that the rainforests in the western and central region of Africa may be in danger of disappearing in the not-too-distant future. Now that we've learned a bit about what's going on in Central Africa, let's move on and look at Western Africa. This portion of the region is made up of the nations lying along the northern shore of the Gulf of Guinea on the Atlantic Ocean, that consists of Guinea-Bissau, Guinea, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Ivory Coast, Ghana, Togo, Benin, and Nigeria, which is Africa's most populous nation. Nigeria produces more oil than any other nation in Africa. Throughout much of Western Africa, a lot of the coastline is filled with coastal mangrove swamps. Further inland from these swamps lies a flat coastal plain, where a lot of the region's crops are raised. To the north of here, low mountains and hills often rise up from this plain. Further inland, the terrain of Western Africa changes into a grassy, tree-studded savanna like this. The huge Niger River runs through all of these natural areas of Western Africa and is by far the most important waterway in this part of the world. Some important crops are raised in Western Africa. They include cotton, coffee, rice, and peanuts. In fact, Nigeria is one of the world's top peanut-growing nations. And cassava, plants which produce starchy roots like these that are peeled with a knife, cut up, boiled, and eaten like potatoes. Cacao, pods that are used to make chocolate, are also raised here. And Ivory Coast is the world's leading producer of them. Hundreds of years ago, Western Africa was the headquarters of the Atlantic slave trade. Back then, people were often captured in tribal wars and in raids by enemy tribes and ended up being sold as slaves. The captives were often transported to European slave trading outposts, similar to this one, that were located along the coast. It was in places like these that the people who had been captured were traded for such things as rum, guns, and cloth that had been made in Europe. At the slave trading outposts, the captives were kept in jail-like cells like this one before being loaded onto sailing ships destined for the Americas. As you can see from this old diagram of the inside of a slave ship, people were packed in very tightly below the decks in the hot, poorly ventilated holds of the ship. It is estimated that about 12 million people from Western and Central Africa crossed the Atlantic Ocean as slaves from the 1500s through the 1800s. Families were torn apart, and more than 1 million captives died during the long, miserable voyage to the West. Once they reached the ship's destination, the slaves were unloaded and sold at public auctions to the owners of big plantation farms. Most slaves ended up working in the fields, where acting up could be punished by a brutal whipping. It is interesting to note that almost all of the nations in this region of Africa were colonies of various European nations at one time. And that's how today's national borders were established. The only exception is Liberia, which was founded for humanitarian reasons in the 1820s as a safe haven for freed slaves from the United States.